All of us have our favorite series within the Star Trek franchise, our favorite episodes, our favorite villains, unforgettable moments that we never forgot and were talked about for days. But with that said, do you have a favorite worst episode? In other words, out of all the bad episodes that were made in any of these franchises, do you have one that you actually like the best out of all of the worst ones? So in this video, I intend to produce what I believe to be, from several different series in the franchise, the best of the worst episodes.
The lowest of the low.
It's hard for me to find a bad episode in the original series, but Turnabout Intruder happens to be one of the worst. In probably one of the most ridiculous plot stories to ever come from the original series, Dr. Janice Lester is so obsessed with Kirk that she is willing to transfer her life force and Kirk's to opposite bodies with the help of alien technology. Spock does a mind meld with Janice Lester to find out that it's Kirk's mind and energy trapped in the body. And after a little bit of meltdown and temper tantrums in Kirk's body, Janice Lester starts to reveal to the whole crew that Kirk is not who he's supposed to be. And eventually, the bond breaks between the two bodies, putting their life forces back in the right place. Okay, so I don't think anybody can argue with the idea that the original first season of TNG was the worst out of all of them. And out of that entire season, I would have to rate The Naked Now as the best of the worst. Being the first episode to air after the pilot, Encounter at Farpoint, The Naked Now would be, by many's opinion, a ripoff, nothing more than a ripoff of The Naked Time, with basically the same plot and premise of the original Naked Time. The Enterprise is investigating a ship that was exploring a nearby dwarf star when the crew started transmitting irregular information and started acting weird. So they beam over and find pretty much the same things that you would find on the original episode. Frozen crew showering naked. Almost the exact same plot, with the virus getting on board. It simulates intoxication, and the crew's got to race against time to save the ship from impending doom. Now, it definitely did have a couple of good moments to it, yes. Instead of the ship crashing toward an icy planet, the star has sent a large piece of it heading toward the Enterprise. There were so many stories about chaos and fighting on the set and behind the scenes, Gene Roddenberry and everyone else, about how this first season should go. And this episode right here is a clear example of how chaotic the first season was. As for DS9, it definitely had its share of weak episodes. And One Little Ship happens to be, out of the weak episodes that they had, the strongest of them all. Okay, so let's examine the plot of this story for a little bit. Starfleet has detected a compression field out there in space and sends it to the Defiant. In the middle of a war with the Dominion, they send the Defiant out there to examine it, and they're going to send a shuttle off into this field, exposing them to all sorts of subspace compressions. Basically, they're going to shrink them, which is the most ridiculous idea. And the plot is just, the whole idea of this plot was kind of ridiculous.
Just because we are shrinking 3 people to the size of coffee cups.
Smaller, actually.
Okay, so while Starfleet and the Defiant are basically examining this phenomenon, Jem'Hadar used this as an opportunity to attack the vessel and seize it without really any fight at all. It was a brilliant attack on the Jem'Hadar's part. What's also good about the episode is the fact that Sisko can see the animosity and the hatred between the first and the second used to be the first up until a couple of days ago. But using this tactic, pitting one against another, is a brilliant strategy, and this is what helped to make this particular episode, as weak as it was, it still helped make it better than some of the other ones that DS9 gave us. Having said that, we do have to ask ourselves, what were the writers thinking when they decided to make this particular episode? It was almost like, well, we have a pile of scripts here and we're out of ideas. Maybe oh, wait a minute, here's a good one. Let's go with that. I kind of look at this one as they ran out of ideas and this was a last resort episode. Now, I know I said that it's a last resort episode, yes, but at the same time, as I said, there were good parts to it. There were. One Little Ship is probably, in my opinion, the best one out of the weakest and worst episodes from DS9. For my last pick of the best of the worst, I'm going with the first season of Picard, the last episode. And why am I doing that? Why am I saying that this episode is the best of the worst? Well, to a lot of people, the first two seasons of Picard were all bad. To a lot of people. And I know there's people out there who enjoyed it as well. But the idea of using Picard's Aramonic syndrome in season 3 to help promote a new story. This is why I am giving this episode of season 1 the best of the weakest, because without them using Picard's Aramonic syndrome to kill him off and replace him with a replica, we would not have had season 3. So for that reason alone, I am giving the last episode of season 1 the best of the worst rating in the Picard series. Now, in case you're wondering why I didn't bring Discovery into this little video, it's basically because I just don't like Discovery. I could go through all the videos that they've had and find so many problems, and it just wasn't worth the effort. So I'm dropping it right here. I want to hear your thoughts and comments, my friend. I mean, there were so many in this franchise to choose from, and I chose to go with the live action as well because the animated series, those are different topics entirely for me. I don't consider those to be really Star Trek. I know they say they are, but I don't consider that. I consider the live action ones to be more Star Trek than the cartoonish ones. So drop your comments below. Let me know what you think. I want to hear your thoughts, your comments about this one. And until the next time, my friends, God bless.